And even during the match, I felt myself like my mind starting to get coachy, where I was looking at the other guys on the other side of the court. And I was like, oh man, if you just did this, you'd be in trouble right now. But I'm not going to say it out loud. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Better at Beach podcast. My name is Mark Burrick, and I'm here with Brandon Joyner. And today we're going to do a recap of the Manhattan Beach Open experience, the AVP qualifier for myself, the main draw for Brandon and his squads. And I'll share a little bit of what it was like. I hate using it old because there's a lot of guys who are older than me, but with minimal training and getting back into my first pro tournament in 2 years. I'll show you and kind of share what I went through offensively, defensively, things that worked, things that didn't. So we'll do a little bit of AVP review as well as just what was going on in my head and then what Brandon saw from the coach's box as we were playing. So I hope you're interested in a little insight into our game, my game, and competing again. And before we get to that, just want to share a few camp updates. November 29th, Punta Cana, all inclusive for 7 days. I want you guys to come out and join us in the Dominican Republic. Chicago, we're coming to you August 22nd. Hermosa Beach, August 29th. We need some high-level men's players. So I'm reaching out to a few of the guys that I know. And that is going to be a men's AA camp August 29th in Hermosa, followed by Oklahoma City, September 12th, Las Vegas, September 19th, Seattle, September 26th, Youngsville, Louisiana, October 3rd, Long Island, New York, October 10th, Orlando, Florida, October 17th, October 31st, we're going to Fort Myers, and Houston, Texas at Third Coast Volleyball, December 12th. So come out and join us for a camp. And if you want to dive deeper into your game and you want us to check out your film and help you out along with our collection of workout programs specifically for volleyball, they are included in the links around the show, as well as a 15% discount on anything Wilson and our new merch store. So if you hadn't headed to our merch store, go to betteratbeach.com/merch, wear some Better at Beach gear and support the show. Brandon, what was it like coaching me?
Well, real quick, before we do that, I want to do a little experiment.
Oh.
And we haven't done this before, but we offer group rates for our camps. And I didn't even pass this by you, so hopefully it's okay. But I want to do a group rate for our podcast listeners. So if until Friday, so you have today's Tuesday, until Friday, if you email us and say that you are interested in attending the Punta Cana trip, then we are going to create a podcast group. Okay. And if we get 5 people that say they want to come, you get 10% off. If we get 8 people or more, then we'll give you guys 20% off.
So the podcast, anybody who emails podcast is going to be included in the group rate, even if they don't know each other.
Anyone. Yep. So even if they don't know anybody, yep, you're reaching out. This is a little experiment. Who knows? It might be the only time we do this. But if you're listening to the podcast and you email us this week before Friday saying you're in for Punta Cana, then we will add you to that group rate and we'll send you guys a discount link at the end of the week. For all of you to sign up and save a decent amount of money. I think the 10% off gets you right around like $120 off. Mm-hmm. And if we get to 8, then that's like almost $250 off.
So podcast listeners, this is your chance to show us that you actually listen to this podcast.
Yeah, this is the loyalty. Yep. But for me, I think going into the AVP, dude, I was just excited to see you play again. I think I'm being your best friend and knowing you for this amount of years. I absolutely love watching you play the game. I think you play it right. I think the way that you kind of find competitiveness on the court and are able to kind of show up and play, it's just really a joy for me to watch. And so going into it, I was just excited to watch you play again, just because I do think you've got a little bit more in the tank. I know family and life has kind of led us both down into a different direction, but um, yeah, it was really cool to see you out there. And I will say, uh, we'll kind of dive into this a little bit more. I think it was really fun for me to be in the box with you because we obviously, with how long we've been creating beach content together and just talking about the game, we speak a lot of the same vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really cool for me to give you insight and to see it kind of happen right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were able to kind of expose a couple weaknesses. We were able to think about the game together a little different. Yeah, and I mean, dude, the qualifiers are tough. There's a reason I'm not in them anymore. It's just grueling. But I was stoked. I think if you guys had a little bit more legs under you in that last set, I think we're probably playing on Friday.
Which
But
I did not want to do. When I woke up on Friday morning, I was like, thank God I don't have to play today. There were
yeah,
a lot of things that were triple as sore as they had ever been. Uh, 4 matches in one day is double what I've ever played competitively because it's just Tuesday, Thursdays. You know, we get out there, we play one standing game set, and then we play maybe 3 sets of volleyball at 6 a.m. and then that's it. Thank goodness I'm lifting on a regular basis. You know, I like to include fast movements and our leagues on Monday nights to get a little bit of a cardio base. But everyone was like, why did you split block with Kurt, who's 6'9"? And it was honestly to survive.
mm-hmm,
And not everybody knows it, but a lot of people know it. In the middle of the third match, me and Kurt were both cramping.
mm-hmm,
I couldn't use my calves to jump anymore. So for the last set and a half, I was jumping literally off of my heels and not extending my calf anymore. And then they gave us this generous 2-hour break before the last game, which allowed us to be competitive. So that
mm-hmm.
was fun. So yeah, we had the energy to get through 4 sets eventually, or 4 matches eventually, and we were pushed. We did a lot of some of them were mental wins, and some of them were physical wins, which is it was fun to be patient, get down in some of the matches, but also realize, hey, it's a long game. We know what they're trying to do. We're trusting our side out. Um, but there are a few things that we really did figure out, have to experiment with, and then finally found answers. One of them definitely Angel and Spencer Locke. That answer came from you, where we looked at Spencer, who was hitting, and he wasn't hitting steep or sharp angles. So he really wasn't utilizing the sideline. So we brought our defense in and we actually stacked our defense a lot, where we had a blocker in the cross and a defender in the cross. I remember just saying, like, okay, we're leaving this shot wide open,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got to hit it twice before we decide to defend it. And I think a lot of players who are listening, if you're not stat tracking during your match and you don't know what the other team is capable of hitting and then also what they actually hit, right? You're going to waste a lot of energy and a lot of spacing. So we played one shorter guy in our first match from San Diego, and real solid, good ball control. He could get on top of the ball occasionally, but for him, same thing. He wasn't really utilizing sharp angles. So I moved my defense more to the middle so that I could pursue his high lines. And we got a few decent blocks and digs on him. And yeah, it was funny. Like, again, going back to the, like, why'd you split block? I think I outblocked Kurt on the day.
I think you did the
Maybe I could
same.
have gone there more full time.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but we needed to save our legs for a long day and potentially Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of going back to the point that you just mentioned about understanding stat tracking. Like a lot of people make fun of me because I like when I'm coaching, I didn't have it with you guys, but I'll carry a notebook,
Mm-hmm.
and the first like 10 points, I'm pretty active in the notebook. Like I'm writing down, I'm tracking where they're hitting the ball. I'm understanding like, okay, they went back. This is a shot they went for. Um, Usually I'm pretty heavy on statting up until the tech, which
Mm-hmm.
is when the combined score is at 21. Um, but after that, I usually have a pretty good sense of what people's tendencies are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big moment for people that are listening is coaches or players is you have to be okay with using the first couple points. I mean, I think just before the tech, you should have that answer.
Yeah.
But leaving areas of the court open, understanding are they going to attack it even though it is open? Do they have specific tendencies of if they pass here, they go here? When they go back, do they go here? If they get their favorite set and they're comfortable, what do they hit?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but establishing that idea, like I think sometimes we like as humans, our ego takes over
Yeah.
and we take losing points so seriously. And you know, I even remember in the main draw, I had this conversation with Chloe where I was like, you know, we have to take losing points as a grain of salt. But
Mm-hmm.
like, if you lose a point, you can't be upset at the other team for earning a point against you. You have to respect the game, understand that you're gonna lose points, and just as long as you're finding answers to why they did something,
Mm-hmm.
then you're allowing yourself to win points when they matter.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, after that 14-14 switch, that's when you're really trying to put the defense or the offense in trouble with using all of that information that you've gathered. But I think a lot of us, we forget to gather that information. So by the time the end of the game comes, you're still kind of guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to lose points even in those times, but you have to be okay. Like, even like, against you, I was like, if they hit it cross, I want that ball to land.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they go here, I want either the blocker or the defender or both to touch it because these are the plays that I think we can win.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that stat tracking is huge. I think that's pretty big.
And it
Um,
doesn't mean don't play defense.
right,
It means play defense, but insert a variable and study it. Well, one of the times that I got chippy with Kurt, which he's used to me, so like I can be really direct when I say things, because we kept letting versus Spencer and Angel. Angel was siding out a lot better, and had more range. So Kurt was using this really deep float, and I was like, we have one rule: keep it out of Angel's hands right now. And the float kept crossing the middle, kept going to the other side. I'm like, you're an All-American, and you
right,
can't serve one half of the court. Like,
yeah,
this is a rule now. We need to stick to it so that we can get it. But even if you like, so if you change up all of your serving every time on one person, all right, you're not really getting a stat collection because you don't know what he does 3 short serves in a row or 3 deep serves in a row. And then if you separate your statistics and all of a sudden you like serve the other person, well, now you have no stats on him, and you've ruined your chance to accumulate stats on the guy that you want to get stats on. You have to continue to serve one person in one way that you think is going to work and then see what they do from there. So, from the coach's box, what do you think that we did well, and where do you think we missed on some teams or some situations?
um, I think you know I think one of the things that I thought we did a really good job of progressing throughout the day was finding our offense. You know, I think
Mm,
the first set of the game, our ball control was kind of a little hazardous, where like we are kind of just throwing the balls up and hoping that the setter can fix it. I thought Kurt's passing second, third, and fourth set was like so locked in that it allowed you guys to have a really good offense. I think that that's huge. You know, like if for players, we can't have really in-depth conversations about defense until we figured out our side of the net. And so, like, when you're going into games, like I always say, we have to win the pass set. We have to win the pass set. Um, it's really hard to win if you are giving up points on your own errors. And I think the first set was as close as it was because we were finding ourselves in a little bit of a tricky situation for our side out. I think one of the areas that mainly in the Alex and Cash match at the end, just really trusting the game plan. You know, I think there are a couple like Cash was really relying on this like kind of baby cut, and he was hitting it really well. And you were reading it and putting yourself into a good spot, and we were running good plays, allowing that to happen. But I think there was still a little bit of hesitation on like, can I truly commit to only getting this ball?
Right.
You know, and one of the things that I like, I'll say often when I'm coaching is like, I'll say it in a way of, I use this a lot with Marine and sometimes with Hagen as well, where I'll say, hey, the goal for this round, this serve is whatever you do, you're trying to get them to hit a high line, or you're trying to get them to hit a cut. And obviously that it works well if somebody's relying on that shot, because if you open up that area and they've seen success there, they're probably going to dip back into that well a little bit and be like, yeah, well, they're leaving me my favorite shot right now. I'm going to go for it. And as a defender, I think we can use that information. If it's the opposite, let's say we haven't picked up any of Cash's little baby cuts, then maybe we do like a delay 4, or like have Kurt pull to that side or you pull to that side and really get it and make Cash beat us a different way. That was really the only thing that was a little tough, because we had so many opportunities and we were picking those balls up. But I think it was still a little hectic in the pickup, where we weren't finding a way to feel really controlled and balanced and putting ourselves in a position to score. Like, we were getting good touches, but a lot of those good touches resulted in us either giving like a free ball back or like an off the net swing, something along those lines. And so, yeah, I mean, Cash and Alex played great. Like,
yeah, they did.
Cash was huge at the net. I think both those guys have a future. I hope they both keep playing and either play together or find people that can make them better. That's the interesting part about the qualifier, is it's like you're kind of always floating around until you find that special recipe. But
and you see so many athletes that if they were given and locked in like 3 or 4 keys, their game would be so much different.
Right.
Like hitting against Cash, there was a relatively easy formula, and it was just so long as you went steep and low. He never really spread his block wide or made like big exaggerated dives. But what he did do, what Kurt was relying on for the entire day, was being higher than everybody else. And so we finally ran into the block that was higher than Kurt. Maybe it was no legs, and maybe it was just the fact that Cash just is a massive high block. So like high line touch is just, even when we're going super high line, he's getting a hand on it. So I think he took over there. But yeah, Alex's defense was really impressive, and how stable and low and fast he was. But Cash, like, he's kind of just right there. And it's always this, and I know that we say this as a business of coaches, but there are so many athletes that are so close to just tipping over, like hitting that tipping point, but they never get this extra little information on their game. And it's part of the fun that I have now playing in mornings against some young guys, some older guys, where like once I've developed a little bit of trust, hung out with them for 3 or 4 matches, I'm like, hey, you know what would make you way harder to beat? and then I'll, give it to them. But it's a shame that people don't they'll work with coaches, but they also don't see them in matches. They don't see the tactics that they're using or how they move in the match, because fixing technique is one thing, but being able to create certain moves like dive blocks and spread blocks, squat and drops, like there's so much that people can add to their game, but the sport also doesn't provide a whole lot of cash at the pro/semi-pro level that you can say, well, I'm going to hire a coach 4 days a week, and well, that's all of my tournament winnings for the week.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, we've had this conversation before on our podcast where it's like, okay, what is the balance? Like, how much money are you willing to spend in order to get that next win? And I think that's. I wonder, a lot of players, like, if we took a poll and we were like, hey, if you worked with a coach 2 times a week and guaranteeing yourself a finish higher, is that worth it to you? 2 finishes higher. Like one of our coaches in Hermosa, Naya Evans, who
crushed it,
just absolutely crushed it, walked away with a 7th. I know she works with coaches every single practice, and it's really cool to see. Like, at the beginning of the year, she was like trying to make a name for herself. And now consistency has shown that she has a 7th place finish in MBO, which gets her a lot of points. And now next year she's going in. She may have found her partner with the person she played with in Manhattan. I can't remember her name. I think it's one of those Van whatevers. No disrespect. She was a baller. But yeah, it's like, what's your goal? And I think that's the tricky part that a lot of these players have to think about, is that they complain and feel sorry for themselves about not having the opportunities. And I get that. It's true. They don't have the opportunities. But then at some point you have to stop complaining about your finishes if you're just going out to the beach and doing the exact same thing that you're doing, just with better players.
Yeah. And no outside mind looking at you, making adjustments, tracking your shots, tracking the different plays that you make.
Right.
It's not easy. You know what I like that Will Montgomery did? He kind of came around the same year. This is like 10 years ago. He gave himself, I think it was a 2 or 3 year period. And he set like a timeline before he became a firefighter. He was like, this is how long I'm going to do. And if I am not ranked this, then I'll go and I'll get a full-time job. So it's like, if you're going to invest in it, fully invest, but don't. And that's why I was kind of not happily winning points, but I was like, no dirt off my shoulder, because I'm sitting there and I'm playing once or twice a week, and just to play. Like, I didn't go out there to try to fix anything. I was like, well, let's see what I have as it is right now. And so it was really pressureless for me. And so, like, taking an L in the qualifier, I was happy to be out there. And the things that I could have fixed, like, yeah, if I invest in a little bit more sprint training instead of just kind of gym and long walks with Janelle, yeah, some of that stuff is fixed. But I'm happy with where I'm at, and there's no pressure there. But if you're going for it, and if like winning matches is important to you, stop relying on just yourself. Like, rely on yourself to get reps when and if no one will, but then get another brain or another eye on your game, because there's so many easy fixes. And even during the match, I felt myself, like, my mind starting to get coachy, where I was looking at the other guys on the other side of the court, and I was like, oh man, if you just did this, you'd be in trouble right now, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
Especially those young guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you are one of those players that isn't willing to commit to the money and finding a coach and being like, if you call your, like, that's one of the big topics that we see in the world of beach volleyball right now, is like, what makes you a pro? And I think a lot of it's just how you approach it. Like, the money itself, there's an argument that a lot of the players aren't pros just with the amount of money that they're bringing in, even the guys in the main draw.
Yeah, like
right?
Ryan Doherty used to say, I don't consider you a professional anything unless it supplies all of your living expenses.
Right.
Like that
And
to me is a professional X. But if you win $75 in the Hermosa Open, in September, like
mhm.
you get to call yourself a pro. Yeah, sure.
Right.
If you've won, $10,000 in 10 years,
Right.
you're in the top, you were probably ranked in the top 20 teams in the country to
Hmm.
do that. And so if you look at that like the NBA, like, yeah, metrically,
Right.
yeah, you're
And
at the pro level.
and I'm not saying that nobody can call themselves that. But
Mhm.
I am saying, regardless, if you take the financials out of it,
Yeah.
are you actually approaching the sport like a pro?
Mm.
I think that that's big. And it's like, and you know who you are. If you're a guy that's like Mark and you're showing up to the beach and you're playing against a good team 3 days a week and you don't have a coach out there and you're not really following a system. There are a lot of people that work with people online and have a strength coach and do all that stuff. Sure. Like that's professional, right? But if you're just going out there and you're just hoping for results and kind of trying to figure it out on your own, like there's not a single professional in any other sport that approaches it that way.
Right.
And I think that that's big, um, because these tournaments are tough.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things that I talked about when I stepped away was I got to a point where I wasn't willing to approach the sport in a professional way that I needed to in order to beat these teams.
Hmm.
Could I be out there still competing and doing what you did this past weekend? Sure, I could do it.
Yeah.
But did I want to put the time and energy that I know I needed to do it? And the answer for me was it was a very easy no. And now I love what I'm doing because like you saw, I mean, the for you, I think the last two seeds in the tournament were ballers.
Mm.
Like you and Kurt, and then the team in San Diego who beat DJ and Amato.
Yeah.
Like two young guys that are just so talented. Everybody in the sport is good now,
Yep.
and it doesn't matter what your round is. It's going to be difficult. Um, Quick little change of pace. Very disappointed with the AVP on the way they handled DJ. Um, DJ
Oh, not
was
sliding him into the main draw.
Yeah, DJ was the one seed in the qualifier. Andy and Miles had to pull out of the tournament because they competed in the Montreal Elite FIVB.
Hmm.
Um, they knew about it. They knew it was a thing. Andy and Miles qualified.
Yep.
They knew time beforehand. They didn't slide DJ and let DJ and Amato into the tournament. And I get it. Like there's a handbook, there's a rule book, there's everything that people have to follow. But for somebody, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because I just know DJ and I know how much work he puts in and I know how long he's been around the game. Um, but the fact that on paper, those two earned a spot into the MBO without having to qualify,
Mm.
regardless what happened in the qualifier. I'm telling everybody, it is very rare for the top, like this tournament, the top 8 seeds should qualify for the MBO.
Hmm.
It is extremely rare for the top 8 seeds or the top 4 seeds, if you're doing a small draw, to actually make it into the tournament because these qualifiers are just grueling. I've always
Yep.
said I think the qualifiers for these tournaments is the most exciting day of the weekend. It's people who are hungry, they're battling, they're fighting for their lives.
Yep.
Yeah, and the fact that I just it kind of always brings me back to like why like for us running a company, it's it's almost like if we did something for our camps that is guaranteed to get negative feedback from one person. Like
Mm.
why would we do that? It's like let's create a product that gets rid of all of this tension and toughness and these hard conversations and the thing that I don't like about what the AVP did, and maybe somebody can explain it to me. I'm sure somebody has a valid reason, and maybe I'm not thinking about it, but I just don't like that they allowed another tour to dictate their product.
Mm.
And like it was kind of fun at the end, like when you lost and you had a chance to get into the main draw being a lucky loser. But like something that was pretty like glaring for me hearing something from you is you said out loud, like, I didn't play in this tournament to be a lucky loser,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
wouldn't have felt
Right.
like, if you're gonna get in, earn it. So that's where I'm a little bit
Right.
also on the side of, all right, well, if they would have been in there, they should have earned it.
Yeah.
They should
And
have cleaned it
that's
up.
a very valid statement. And I think that's what everyone can say. It's just, it stinks having a point system, having like now that point system, what does it mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, and the same thing where I want to celebrate a little bit now, kind of moving forward a little bit, but like Try, who
Hmm.
had his last tournament, big shout out to Try
Yeah.
for a hell of a career. Um,
And
I
a
think,
and an unfortunate career.
yeah,
Like, the things that
extremely,
kid had to deal with through injuries, through immune illness. He got to go to the Olympics,
yeah,
which is cool. He definitely like earned it, and he's one of those guys where if you go back to that professional conversation, like the two
yes,
tournaments that I played with him, I mean, the second he got into the hotel room, he's doing mobility in bands. And when I say that, like, I was like trying to relax and watch a little bit of TV, and I like to open myself up too, get a quick thing in the gym. But like an hour and a half of hip mobility on his hotel bed
right,
in Rio, I'm like, yeah, this guy. And then he'll take his coach. He took Evie, and he's like, hey, Evie, can you come rep me out in the courtyard? And they would sit on the grass, and he would do single step passing with no net, and just until he felt the ball and got ready for the next day. So that he was one of the guys that for sure treated it like a professional the whole way.
right.
And great career. And I mean, obviously to Alisson as well, who is saying goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a lot of storylines in this tournament.
Really, really good stories. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's cool. Like I actually had a moment in because we played against Alisson and Alvaro in Huntington, and we played against them in Manhattan, and luckily we were able to walk away with a couple wins. But I uh, I had a moment in Manhattan where in the second set we found a pretty good rhythm, so I was able to like kind of sit back for a second, and I just watched him,
Hmm.
and like the world of beach volleyball, if you're a current player, if you're on the FIVB, if you're on the AVP, approach the game like him.
Yeah.
He is utmost respectful to any person. Every time I see him, he gives me like a great handshake, a huge
Massive
smile. How you
mitts.
doing? Makes me feel like I'm a little infant. Um, and then while he's playing, he finds the joy, and
Hmm.
and it shows up. And so yeah, those two guys specifically, um, yeah, find two more blockers down, which is a little interesting for the U.S. It's going to open up some ways. Yeah, you might have found a new
Am I ready? I
a new
mean,
position.
I averaged over 3%. No, three per
Those are
match. Yeah.
those are good numbers.
And
But
speaking of
yeah,
professionals, like also just like to Miles and Chase for winning it.
hmm
Miles is one of those guys that showed up every day. He did all of his body work, had the trainer. When you watched him at a lot of practices, you're like, this guy's not here. He's not going to get it done. Like, it was like sometimes he had energy and sometimes he didn't. But when you look at it, it's like the energy that he had on any given day, that's what he had that day. And that's what he gave, but he showed up every single day. So the idea of like, I played a crap morning today because I was exhausted. And I was like, you know, I'm here. Even like when you're going to work out, you step in the gym, you go, screw it, I'm not going to lift 225 pounds. I'm going to just raise these 10-pound dumbbells for 7 minutes. Like, that's all I got. And usually that energy carries like to the next level. And then you get a somewhat decent practice or training session out of it. But showing up, even when you're tired and even when you don't feel like it, like, you're not going to practice magnificently with hardcore energy every single day. You want to get to that level, but not everybody has everything to give every day. And so you need a partner who understands that and doesn't get too much on your nerves if you're not giving everything that day. Um, and then a partner who understands where you are in the game. And I think that's why, same thing, like just for me and Kurt having so much fun out there. It's like, yeah, you screwed that up.
Yeah.
So what?
Right. Yeah. I sent a little text to Miles after he won, just saying, "Hey, proud of you. Like, way to go." Because I mean, again, like when I first moved out here, I remember like Miles was kind of floating around. I still remember him walking out to the beach in his leather jacket and his motorcycle helmet. And it's cool to just see, once again, another true professional treats it that way. I haven't hung out with Miles in a long time, and I think it's because he realizes that he's sheltering himself and he's just there to compete. He's a beach volleyball player now.
Yep.
So yeah, it was really cool to see. That was the first dub.
Yeah.
And the fact that his first AVP win gets him
Manhattan.
cemented on the Manhattan Pier with Chase, who had an amazing run to make the Olympics. Like, their storyline as a partnership is really cool.
Yeah.
And to see it pay off and with getting that plaque on the pier.
And guys, like, behind the scenes, they're not really friendly with each other. Like, when you see them at practices, this isn't like, oh my God, they get along so well. Like, there is always a batting of the heads, or, hey, you got to do this. So they're holding each other responsible.
Yeah.
And at a lot of their practices, it doesn't look like two guys grinding together. Sometimes it looks like they're grinding against each other, but they stick it out.
Yep.
They stay with each other, and then they also have that faith and the belief in the other. Like, you're doing what you should do outside the court. You're here on the court, so we're going to keep working.
Yeah.
So this deep understanding of partnerships, and I know we're touching on a lot here, but knowing who you're playing with and what their goals are, and even in a practice day, what they have to give that day, and no one's going to have 100% every day, right? But just showing up and saying, you're here because of this. I'm here to support you in that way, so long as you support me in the way that I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And, me and Kurt's like technique, when you look at it, it's garbage. Like, I have to do the opposite that I do with anybody else. I have to set his left arm to open up certain things. And it's like, well, yeah, because that's how he plays. And if we get him thinking too much, that's it clogs him. So he needs to be a little bit goofy and more free. And then I can do some of the like scientific studying and figuring out different things along the way. So, but we meet each other, and he knows that, like, I'll bark at him when I need to, but he doesn't take it personally. He's like, yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah, and I think, I mean, overall, I thought the MBO was fantastic. It was, like you said before, storylines were crazy. So many in-depth ones. It being Try's last tournament, picking up Nick Lucena last second, and Nick, like, I was talking to Gray, he does our league on Monday nights. He's like, why isn't he still playing? And I think everybody kind of thought that. We're like, dang, like, this guy's still got it. Like, he's unreal. So for Nick to show up and give Try the walkout that he deserves was really cool to see. And then the storyline of Phil and Trevor, that was really fun. Phil was going for his 8th peer plaque, which would have tied Karch, and
Wow.
Trevor was going for his 5th, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy to think about too.
Yeah.
We played them early on Saturday morning. Had a grind of a match. Went 3, and unfortunately, Phil played like Phil. And it's like, it's cool to see the last year of Phil's season. Who knows if he'll show back up in the league? I guess it kind of depends what Trevor wants to do, because I think they're guaranteed a spot in the league next year. So maybe he throws that retirement out the window for a second and plays one more league year. But it was really cool to see him just dominate. Like he played really well. I think it was a tough game because like Miles and Chase haven't won an AVP. They've been to the Olympics. They're seen as one of the top teams in the U.S. right now. Like other than Andy and Miles, I think they're like the squad.
Yeah.
And so people were rooting for them to try to get on the pier, but also it's like this little sentimental feeling of Phil like tying the record and maybe like cementing himself as like maybe the true GOAT. There's always going to be that debate, but that was really cool. And then the women's side was just gnarly. Like so many upsets, so many play. Like I know Corinne made a semi, and it was after switching partners. So she played with Megan Rice all year during the league, and then Megan decides to play with Gina. I'm not really sure how that whole conversation went or what led to the switch up, but
two nice arm swings there.
To see Corinne kind of pull out and make a semi was really cool. We had some young bucks and Ashley Patter and Coakley, I think. Or no, I'm not sure what her partner is.
Ashley Patterson, yeah.
But some another young team making the other semi, and then you have the juggernauts of Taryn and Kristen just coming out, getting their name on the pier for the second time in a row. And really they played against Therese and Megan in the final, who have become one of my favorite teams on tour. Mainly just one, I love their style. I think Megan is a beast. She crushes balls, and Therese is just Therese.
I saw one thing on Instagram of Therese blocking, and before I knew who it was or what was happening, I went, "Ooh, that's perfect block technique."
Yeah.
And then it zoomed out and it was her, and I was like, she scrambled, she put up a perfect solid block. I'm like, this girl's a legit blocker. Yeah. And it's so fun to pick up that level of detail now. Right. Yeah. We're like, that's a good block, that's a everyday AVP block, or that's an elite block. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think I don't know if you got to watch the final, but one of the things that, like, I think it was one of the first times I've seen Taryn and Kristen win a match where they might have been outplayed. Like I think Megan and Therese, they looked cleaner, but I don't know if it's experience at the highest level or just trusting themselves late in games. But they were able to come out with it on top and finish the tournament strong and get their name out on the pier one more time.
Well, we got to wrap up today. So if we have a couple of weird edits, everybody, I apologize. Double duty today. Got my co-producer, as Travis calls his kids. Yeah. But it was a fun weekend, fun to get out there. And yeah. Hope you guys keep watching.
Yeah.
If you're still listening, do not forget about that camp. The podcast listeners, you guys could get your own group discount if we get at least 5 of you to email for the Punta Cana camp. So please email support@betteratbeach.com with the subject line podcast group.
Love it. Yeah. And if you guys are, I think 2 big tournaments left. I think that's about it for the summer. We have Chicago Championships in two weekends, last weekend of the month, and then that's just for the league participants that made it in. And then we have the Hermosa Open, which isn't an AVP event, but it'll be very high level. It'll probably feel like very similar to Manhattan, but it's right in our backyard. So we love that. Love bringing a big tournament to Hermosa. So
yeah, gonna be sweet. And if you're a AA men, we're running a very small training camp out here in Hermosa the last weekend of August. So find me on Instagram at Mark Burrick and get in contact. Gonna have a nice high level weekend with some of the boys. So AA and above men, get in touch with me. DM me at Mark Burrick on Instagram. And other than that, let's go coach some people.
All right, we'll do it.
See you, everybody. See you on the sand.